All right, beautiful souls. Peace and love to you all. High vibrations to you all. Welcome tonight. I wanted to do this free Zoom as a kind of intro into Gemini season. I wanted to take this time, especially in the space that we all are in, as a collective, dealing with the shift that we all have been going through in our own individual lives, especially with the mental, emotional things everybody has been going through their own, I would say, tribulations and challenges in those areas. And it's all just indicative of the signs of the time. So I want to let you know that you're not crazy. Hey, there's a beautiful thing called clarity that we can all get in this reality, no matter how we may seek it, no matter how we may ask for it. Sometimes we just have to be present when it does come to us, in whatever ways that it presents itself. So basically, this is when they say don't shoot the messenger and all that good stuff. And as a life path 11, as a Gemini sun sign, Mercury and Gemini, a lot of Gemini influence in my life. I am a so-called messenger by nature, per se, or by influence when you deal with the astrological, my numbers, all that good stuff. So I do my best to kind of live into that energy, not live up to it, right? So, I speak on the embodiment of the chart, the embodiment of the essence of you. So tonight I'll be kind of talking about the energy of Gemini and how it deals with your body, how it deals with influencing us all together overall, how we can see this energy of Gemini playing out throughout our reality. Throughout ancient times, the energy of Gemini was called the messenger of the gods, right? So that messenger of the gods energy deals with that part of the astrological influences, that mercurial energy, to where it goes between all energies, right? Mercury has this ability to kind of touch every zodiac sign, every planet, right? And it does it in such a profound and efficient manner. All right. So that efficiency is very indicative of the influence of the energy of Mercury when it's called Hermes in the Greek Roman pathology. Even when it's called also the aspect of Tahuti when you deal with Kemetic, which kind of predates a lot of the Roman Greek aspects of what this comes from. So Mercury rules Gemini on a planetary level. Now, Mercury also rules the day of Wednesday, and today is a Wednesday, the middle of the week, hump day. Mercury is one of the only zodiac signs that, or the planetary influences that actually does a retrograde motion, right? Twice within a year sometimes. So this is going to show you how the mental is governed. Mercury also governs the first 13 years of your life. So Gemini is needed by all of us because Gemini rules the lungs. All right, it rules the dual aspect of the way we use our right brain, the right hemisphere. All right. So that is very connected to the lungs, the hands. So the way we use our hands, most Geminis talk with their hands. Anytime people can have heavy Gemini influences and not even be a Gemini, and you can use a lot of animation. Gemini rules chatter. It rules gossip. The reason why, because it influences a lot of curiosity. So the twin, the duality, is one aspect of what people talk about Gemini. But tonight I'm gonna kind of introduce multiple aspects to Gemini. I almost want to call Gemini a trifecta, all right, because it deals with the governing of the mind and why so many Geminis can live in the head of their or live in their thoughts so much. Now, this can equate to a lot of earth signs, why they call Libras airheads, right? How Aquariuses have to they live in their heads so much and have to detach from a lot of thought forms and all that good stuff. So you can see the earth signs have this relationship with the mental, and they also have a relationship with spirit. Spirit is earth, is the breath, right? The lungs rules the breath, right? So I'm gonna tell you how we all need Gemini. Everybody talking about they don't like Gemini. I can't stand, but guess what? Try to stop breathing. You'll see how important Gemini is to your life. So beyond your likes or your dislikes of a Gemini influence or the way somebody expresses the energy of Gemini, because I've gotten it a lot. A lot of people be like, I ain't know you was a Gemini. You don't act like a Gemini, right? A lot of people don't always operate in certain dynamics of the sun sign. The sun sign is not the only sign that you have. But when the sun is in a certain sign, this is the vitality of your chart. So this the vitality of your life. It's the energetic expression of how you will yourself into this existence. So when you deal with a dual aspect of having to deal with a light and a dark perspective, something has to birth from that. So a Gemini has the ability to be mutable, the mutable signs, right? Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, mutable energy. Pisces love going with the flow. Sagittarius is all about going their own way. They rule wild horses, like can't be tamed. You know what I'm saying? Like Sagittarius will ghost you, they will move around. The opposite of a Gemini is a Sagittarius, or the shadow side of a Gemini is a Sagittarius. So I like to say if you push a Gemini too hard, you get a Sag. You push a Sag too hard, you get a Gemini, right? So when you deal with this oppositions in astrology, this also equates to 180 degree separation. Within a 180 degree separation, you can see two sides of the same coin, heads and tails, hence Gemini. So Gemini energy exists throughout the zodiac because everything has an opposite. So when you're dealing with everything has an opposite, everything has a twin. How many? What are the slang of the young generation now? Twin, what's up, twin? So you gotta peep the play. Jupiter is in Gemini. Jupiter rules the opposite sign of Gemini, which is Sagittarius. So you bringing two things together here, right? The gatherer and the one who hunts, or the hunter and the gatherer of information. And that's why Geminis are the Gemini. I'm telling you right now, Gemini suffer from thinking they know every goddamn thing because the mantra for Gemini is "I think." So a Gemini can gather one piece of information and act like they know every goddamn thing, but in actuality, you might not know nothing about or fully in depth of what you're talking about. Hence, the Sagittarius is going to go through the experience, and as they go through the experience, they're going to know their higher self. But sometimes the Sagittarius may go into an experience but not have gathered enough information. So you see the perpetual play between the two archetypes. Now I can do this across the whole zodiac, right? Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Virgo, Pisces. You go back to Libra and Aries. You go back to, so you see it goes back and forth, and it just keeps going. Leo and Aquarius, right? Lovers and friends. And so all this deals with the polarity of all things and how everything must have a polar opposite. Because where you find the truth is in the middle. So when you put 180 and 180 together, what do we get? It's simple math, 360. So you can have 360 degrees of knowledge in one area just based off the astrological influences in your life. Hence, if somebody is born during a full moon, they'll have a Gemini sun with a Sagittarius moon, or a Sagittarius sun with a Gemini moon. They can feel and think in opposition, you see? But when those two come together, when you put Gemini and Sagittarius together, you get the very detail orientated teacher, the messenger, the guru. And then when you move into the next sign after Sagittarius, which is Capricorn, which Saturn rules, once you've been through some shit, you know some shit, you can teach it. See, this is why adversity builds character, and it's challenging us to make sense of the mundane. And that's what Gemini rules. Everybody out here trying to make sense of the mundane. What happens is once your mind reaches a conclusion, that is it for the mental for you, because now it becomes egocentric, which equates to ego sensitivity, which equates on the spiritual side. This is like also being able to have to let go of the aspect of what we call the lower self per se. All right. So that whole thing is so powerful when we find that, when we see that aspect growing within our own mental and how we're governing that. The shit is so dynamic when you think about it. You know what I mean? So tonight I'll be kind of talking about how those two archetypes go together, and how we're pulling those into fruition, even through our everyday reality. And this is why Sagittarius is about thinking big, and then sometimes the devil is in the details of the mundane, right? So as we kind of go through the journey to the higher self, it's all starts in our mundane experience. Gemini, So this is why Sagittarius is the guru. All right. Sagittarius is the higher self. It's the higher wisdom. It's after you've been through the aspects of Earth. That's why Earth feeds fire, right? Fire and Earth, Gemini, Sagittarius. So the breath feeds the spirit. So you see how the dynamic still plays out. And I also be talking about some twin aspects in the Bible. I'll be talking about some Esau, some energy, to where you can see, even in a biblical aspect, how the archetype of Gemini shows up. All right. And how it's always been present in our everyday reality because nothing in this reality manifests without a thought. Hence the energy of Mercury. Hence, once you get a message or once you get a thought, you got to act on that shit. See, what is the thought without action? Sagittarius, right? What is you can think about traveling or going out of town, but when you just kind of you ain't never left your neighborhood streets and you don't know what it's like to get on an airplane, that can represent your Gemini energy. Cause Gemini deals with your neighborhood. Sagittarius deals with long distance travel. See philosophy and all that good stuff. So if you see the difference when you expand your thinking, it leads to a different state of a perspective. I see and I perceive is the mantra for Sagittarius. I think, remember, is the mantra for Gemini. So a lot of people's perceptive is locked or blocked or clouded by their thought forms, which equates to the mundane aspects of what they done gathered about what they think is they self. This is why a lot of people say they don't like Geminis. Why a lot of times Geminis can operate in such a sense of duality, and it's hard to keep up in a conversation. And this is when, even with that part of us, on how we can find ourselves, how you can, how you can find yourself, and you will see yourself saying, how somebody will pull you into a whole conversation. How somebody, and they even how you might find yourself putting somebody into a whole conversation that you were having in your head before you even start having it with the other person. That's Gemini. That's the twin. That's duality. That's the mind. See, the mind is chaotic. It is a field. It is a mirror, right? See, this is why so a man think it, so a man is. Ain't that in the scripture? You see the play on the words. See, I'll be talking about how words create worlds. So I got a PDF ready. It's not a long one. I won't have y'all here long tonight. I really want to just kind of spend some time before I got into the PDF to kind of lay the foundation. And this is also a precursor into my paid workshop, which will be happening on the 25th of May, which is also, as we have Diamond in the building, a seven of clubs day, which I am the Pluto to that card, which is the Jack of Diamonds. So that day is going to bring about a lot of shifts. I'll be talking about how to prepare for the new moon energy. And for those who do pay the full $99, I will be giving you a personal breakdown of the energy of Gemini and the transit of the new moon in your life, in your chart, and how you can use the influence of Gemini to make things make sense in your life. So this new moon is going to be heavy on the things of communication, community building, getting new people. Gemini is always mutable, always about being sociable. You get what I'm saying? See, this is why a lot of time people don't like Gemini because I might be cool with somebody you don't like, and now you think I'm using this word when I say the word think. I really want y'all to think Gemini. All right. So when I say, when you think that you can tell me who to hang with because you don't like them, or you think that I'm supposed to not like somebody because you don't like them, what that means you're trying to tell me how to think. So you got to be real mindful now. This is why a lot of people say Gemini's two-faced or they not loyal, because you want somebody to hold some sense of loyalty to somebody when a Gemini could be looking at you and really be knowing that whatever you own is some bullshit anyway. Well, both of y'all on some bullshit because y'all really care too much. Y'all really, it's too much. I mean, we supposed to been cool. We just socializing. We ain't, I'm not going home with you tonight. And then a Gemini will know this. I can be cool with somebody and associate with somebody. Now, this is Gemini energy. I'm just reflecting. I can be cool with somebody and associate with somebody, but they don't have the connection to me that you have. See, the level of coolness. See, this is why Geminis don't really have too much trouble picking their friends. They don't. Because the Gemini automatically know everybody ain't your motherfucking friend. Now, what can happen is with an imbalance of a Gemini, they start talking shit because they don't view a motherfucker as their friend. See? And they don't have a sense of loyalty to you because your word of friend, they don't define it the same way. They like, well, shit, you didn't just tell me, you told 100 other people. So I just was repeating some shit. So the regurgitation of Gemini comes in, and that's why sometimes you gotta watch what you tell a chatterbox ass Gemini. And if you know you talking to somebody who always talking somebody else's business, and you know damn well that they're a Gemini, why is you telling them shit that you don't want everybody else to hear? Don't ever tell a Gemini something that you want everybody else to hear when you saying that around other people and you acting like you don't care. Don't ever tell a Gemini something that's personal to you and that's meaningful to you and then follow it up. It really don't matter if somebody hear about it. I'm telling you, you got to be very mindful when you tell a Gemini some shit like you don't care if somebody know. See, people be asking for shit and they don't know what they be asking for. And since I'm aware, I've observed all these traits about myself. So I ain't talking about some shit I'm observing about somebody else. I live in this energy. And now, since I don't live in the influence of being gossipy and chattery and shit, motherfuckers always come to me about who's gossiping and chattering about me. So you can't stop it. See, now I understand as a Gemini, I can't stop people from not liking me. I can't control who do like me. Hell, I can't control none of the psychological drama that people deal with. That shit ain't got nothing to do with me. So it leads to a different state of knowing. You get what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the PDF. I appreciate you all for coming once again. And once again, if you got the link, you should definitely see the link if you want to join the workshop, the paid workshop. Once again, that will be happening on the 25th. That'll be in 4 days. You can definitely click that link and go ahead and get your spot. Of course, we're going to be going in. I'll be going in a lot deeper than I'll be going in tonight. But tonight, I'm still going to give you all the gist of what you're going to kind of experience or look for. And also, the PDF will be yours to keep. So, once again, this is a free workshop. And also, I'm going to put my Cash App in the chat. If anybody is feeling generous,
Excuse
please feel free to donate. All right. So,
Sensei
go ahead. Peace. Who was that?
Prince.
Prince, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, peace, peace. Will you be taking questions after the PDF?
Oh, yes, sir. I sure will.
Work.
I bet. All right, and gratitude for that question because now that's for everybody. I will be taking some questions tonight after the PDF. All right, and once again, you see it's only 18 pages, so it's not a long one. Once again, it'll be more in depth coming up here on Sunday night. The new moon will actually be on the 26th of May. So once again, if you want to join the full link workshop, that'll be way more in depth and more interpersonal as well. And of course, y'all know it'll come with journal prompts and a lot of other things. And also in that workshop, since I've already got a lot of this out the way, I'm going to make the workshops a lot more interpersonal, especially for those who pay. All right. So I will be spending more time with you one on one if you have any questions during the workshop about how to utilize some of the things in the PDF. All right. So I want to give people that pay the full price a more interpersonal experience. Once again, I do appreciate you all for your time and energy, but I do want to make sure that I pour into those who always show value and reciprocation when they can. All right. So once again, if you want to join the full link workshop, you should have the link in your email, and make sure you click that and go ahead and get your spot. If you do need some working with the payment up until the 6 days, you of course you can inbox me or text me if you have my number. Now, can everybody see my screen? Or if you can't see my screen, somebody let me know. I bet. And can y'all hear me too?
Yes.
I bet. All right, now as y'all see, the theme of this new moon, of course, Gemini is all about socializing, being outside. And this is kind of what an interview or overview I want to kind of tap in. With this super new moon is going to be occurring in the closest, which is going to deal with a perigee cycle. Now, anybody that was in my astrology course, we know we deal with a perigee and an alpha G, which is also a perihelion and an alpha helion cycle, meaning that it's going to be closer to the Earth. All right. That's what that means. That's a Greek word, all right, parigi. All right. So I won't get it too much into semantics and wordplay tonight, even though words create worlds, I kind of touch on that. I will be kind of breaking some words down, of course, as I kind of go through the PDF. But the super moon is always about when the moon is closest to the earth. All right. So that creates more of a pull on the tides, more of a pull on our emotions. Anytime the moon is in the darkest phase, which is the new moon phase, can give us a lot of time of introspection. And then when you deal with the influence that the moon is under, especially dealing with Gemini, this is going to be a very mental, heavily influential time to kind of restore, detach from a lot of mental thought forms, a lot of old ways of thinking. Y'all been hearing me talk about be ye renewed of the mind. Y'all been hearing me talk about portals have been opening to renew the mind and all that good stuff, to let go of outdated beliefs and thought forms. If you see this, it's been happening on a collective level. And now here we are with a culmination of this energy. All right. So super new moon, especially some of the key words are going to deal with mental reprogramming. I'll also be going over some linguistics training during the workshop coming up here on the 25th. I'll be talking about some linguistics training, how to train yourself with words, even the power of affirmations. But there's also another trick behind affirmations because you have to be able to, um, I would say, rewire your brain to the point to where it believes the affirmations and you don't have the self-sabotaging thoughts whenever you have the affirmation. Your mind tells you something different, or you fall into a habitual pattern like a seesaw battle of going against what you affirmed versus
Dude,
what you're actively acting out. All right. So new ideas and perspectives, quick decisions, increased mental stimulation, of course, with this new moon. So I'm telling you, as the Gemini season heightens, especially with the sun doing some of the things that it's doing with the solar flares that are being released. I mean, anybody that's in this reality, you don't have to believe in even astrology to know the power of the sun and how you can feel the sun in the summertime, how it can drain your heavy metals, it can make you feel tired, it can make you pass out. All these things are for a reason because of your nervous system. I'll be talking about a lot about that coming up on, of course, on the new moon actual workshop that I'll be doing. The effects on the nervous system, the UV rays. This is going to deal with vitamin D levels, iron levels, all type of things when it deals with the brain and those brain functions and how we have glands in the brain and how when we don't have enough mineral intake, this deal with dehydration levels and how our brain or our bodies will shut down. That connection will shut down, and this equates to what we call blacking out, even passing out under the sun or from dehydration, whatever the case may be. So your body's telling you something. Basically, is what I'm saying when this occurs. All right. So this is going to be a lot of increased mental stimulation, a lot of crossroads of our perception, questioning what we know. One of the most powerful things I know I've ever done for myself as a Gemini was self-talks, right? Not being afraid to ask myself, why are you thinking that? Why do you even care? Like, man, what the fuck is going on with this, right? And at first, it was still me identifying with my brain, right? So this was helping me kind of break that transmission of always identifying with my own fucked up thoughts, you know. So I began to break that by questioning them. I don't have to identify with it. These thoughts are not my own, right? So I don't have to feed into it. Just because I thought it don't mean it's real. And why am I separating it? See, this is the separation that we can live in between the spiritual and the mundane. Somebody said it's a negative thought because you thought it. Somebody said you shouldn't be thinking that way, right? It's the brain. So how you gonna tell the brain what to think? See, that's the problem. We in a world to where people like to tell you what to think, and we think that people out here know better for our own mind and our own mental thought forms. Hence why we deal with mental illness so much because we're comparing our thought forms to another. And also there's chemical imbalances that can equate to, there's so many other things that can come with this. All right. So some of the core things are going to be, of course, communication,
huh?
talking, of course, writing, network, storytelling. Of course, we'll be dealing with duality, seeing two sides of a coin.
I
We'll
thought
be
she.
sending paradox mirroring. Whoever it is, can you mute up for me, please? Thank you. We'll see the two sides of a coin.
Kids
We'll
stop
see the paradox
talking.
mirroring. We'll also see the choice, the indecision. We'll see a lot of these things coming into play. All right. And it'll be a beautiful time for us to really kind of check those things about ourselves. And really a beautiful time to really ask ourselves what it is that we're looking for. But it's going to be dynamic when it comes to a time of renewal. All right. So it's a beautiful time to renew the mind once again. And let me get back to this PDF, y'all, here 1 second. But as we renew the mind and as we go through these shifts, this new moon is going to be very influential on um, the way that we fall into this new dynamic of how we identify with the energetic expressions of our own duality, right? The paradoxical experience that we call life. And the reason why it's such a paradoxical experience is because we're living and we're dying at the same damn time. Everything about your body, everything about your organs, everything about your life force energy boost, which is you, knowing that you are not your mind, you are not your body. They're yours, but they're not you. Y'all hear me say this all the time. So even with Gemini, all the things you've gathered throughout your life, all the food you've ate, all the books you've read, all the conversations you've had, all the indoctrination, all your years in school, all the emotional experiences you had, every memory that you have, all these things equate to what you gathered, right? That gathering is going to lead to how you make your choices. Now, this is very influential of thoughts and emotions and feelings and shit. And how I was having a conversation with one of my brothers the other day on Clubhouse, and he was saying that feelings and emotions are separate, right? And I was like, that's impossible because emotions cultivate feelings, right? Feelings and can also fuel emotional experiences because how you feel about something can change the whole dynamic of the way your body reacts to a situation. Emotions are tied to the body. Feelings are tied to how you express them. Hence, if your body feels fear, you would then express the fact that I feel afraid. You get what I'm saying? But in actuality, your body had a chemical reaction, adrenaline rush, cortisol rush, whatever the case may be. Now, both of these are paradoxical experiences. This duality happening inside the body. Do you need to help your body produce cells? Right? Of course, what you feed it is going to help it do that. But is it naturally just going to take everything that you eat and convert it over to energy? Like, don't you know that's why they say what you eat becomes you? Can you ever unhear what you've ever heard? Can you unsee what you've ever seen? As you're listening to me speak now, are you experiencing me as a feeling or as an emotion? You see, the duality is always at play. And it's just the same way if you close your eyes or if you close your mouth and you speak a word without uttering your lips, how can somebody else pick up on that? Or how is the word even valid and you didn't even speak it? So I'm just giving you the power of how we exist in a paradoxical experience, but sometimes we separate it by thought, by living in as aspects of the mind, by trying to make everything make sense. When in actuality, some things don't need to make sense. It's meant to be experienced. And only in the experience will it begin to make sense after you done been through the shit. Gemini, Sagittarius. So choices and decisions mold our positions and situations in this life. So when you deal with indecision or learning to choose with clarity, right? And then the connection, that's also going to deal with you marry that with confidence. So the connections are also going to make the links mentally, socially, and spiritually, right? Adaptability is going to be switching gears quickly, handling change, right? We're going to need to be able to handle change because shit going to get weird in this age of Aquarius, I'm telling you. And you talking about sudden shifts with the mind, sudden shifts in reality, sudden shifts in paradoxical experiences, timelines merging and all this shit. You becoming aware of certain parts of you that was just been dormant for long periods of time. That's the awakening of Aquarius. And that's why Mercury exalts in the aspect of on the planetary energy of
That
yours.
was just water.
So
That
when
was
you
just
deal with
water, and the
Uranian
water just
energy
plain
and
right
how we
there.
deal with the mental
Oh
aspects
man, of
and
course it
how we
is.
can catch ourselves in a whole mental rut at times, right?
I
That
drink so
mental
much water,
aspect
juice.
is
So
so dynamic when it comes to how we find ourselves lost in our own sauce. Cause I'm telling you, the mind is dangerous. The mind is a dangerous motherfucker, y'all. Tell you, man. The mind is dangerous, man. So when our mind reaches a conclusion on something, it's hard for you to tell yourself something different or convince yourself of something different. So being adaptable and switching gears quickly is going to be challenging for people, and that's why people can become riddled with fear in the midst of change. Hence, why a lot of people are so-called getting dragged by life. So being honest about your words, right, promises and thoughts, was because words create worlds, and my word is my bond. You get what I'm saying? And what I speak it, so shall be. And it say in the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." God had to speak. That is speaking to words, vibrations. Words revibrate. A reverb, a revibration happens when you speak. When I speak, a reverb is happening inside of you, and you're experiencing and visualizing things as I use words to paint a picture. That's the power that the mind has to cultivate or create its own reality. Hence, you are creating your own reality, but are you aware of it? So to be aware is to be alive. So when you deal with these opportunities that the energetic expressions have, clarity and intentions before speaking, I began to count my words at one point during this journey. Very life changing, just to be honest with you. Some days how I started this was, I'm gonna tell you how I started this to give y'all the practice, all right, how I put it into play. I would challenge myself to only speak 500 words in a day. Try it. Even if you gotta write it down, even if you gotta make a strike. So I'm gonna tell you one of the visualization tools that I use to do this. Every word I kind of like a strike. You know how you write down line, 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 and then you know how you playing dominoes or whatever the case may be, and we cross it out when you get to five, right? So I would do line, 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 and then I cross it out of my mind. Every time I went to 5 words, I would stop. So you can even start to speak more intentionally just by speaking with more pace, more intention, and speaking more slowly. It'll make you slow down your words naturally. And watch how quick your thoughts be so ready to just and you like, man, my mind going 100 miles an hour and I'm just speaking so calmly. This is a meditative state. See, this is a practice. You can't just do this by thinking about it. You can't just affirm this. I'm saying you gotta be willing to be aware of what's coming out of your mouth. And your Mercury placement can be very huge on why you deal with the way you deal with internalizing things that you internalize, which makes you speak from a compulsive place. Because how you speak is how you listen as well. See, that's Mercury. He who speaks and he who listens. That's why when you see the staff of Mercury, all right, you'll see one aspect of the tongue coming out of the mouth of the serpent on one side of the staff, and you'll see the tongue not coming out of the other serpent on the other side. Sometimes you gotta know when to shut the fuck up. It's a powerful shit when you embrace silence. But it's hard for somebody to be silent when they mind is chattering and they believe everything that it tells them, or they feed into everything that feeds or creates an emotional reaction. Hence, a feeling must be honored. Hence, it's all dealing with an energy that got to be expressed. And that's why people walk around living in their heads and have trouble feeling and receiving love. Tell somebody I love you, and they be like, "Fuck you." You walking around smiling, motherfucker be like, "Why you so happy?" You know, you just speak to somebody looking at you like, "Fuck you speaking to me for?" Man, there's some people just mad because they can't deal with their own fucking thoughts. And I'm gonna tell you, if you look at the mortality rate, the aspects of what we call suicide rate, when somebody willingly check out, right? When you look at how many people are on drugs, on dope, trying to cope with life, even if you equate this to people who got retail therapy problems, always escaping. I'm just speaking to Sagittarius, and I still brought in the Earth sign of Libra, right? Retail therapy, and you see all the mental shit. Something to make us mentally give us a mental break. See, that's why even the axis of Virgo and Pisces, which I'll be speaking to more heavily when it deals with this new moon workshop that I'll be having coming up here on Sunday once again on the 25th. Make sure you get your spot. I'll be speaking more to understanding even the analytical side of Virgo and how it's at play with this energy of Pisces on the axis and how it's time to let go of overanalyzing every goddamn thing so we can trust ourselves in the mundane reality. See, people are trying to trust the mundane versus trusting yourself in it. That's the problem. How you gonna trust something that's forever changing? Can you even the motherfucking weatherman can't predict the weather? And then we out there trying to predict people. So you see how we struggle with the mundane. You trying to change something that you cannot change. Even when you die, the mundane is gonna be the mundane. Now you got all these spiritual philosophies, Sagittarius, that tells you, oh, you got to do this and changing yourself is changing the world and you move in love and light and everybody see your love and your light. Man, I'm gonna tell you, boy, that shit there is some of the most spiritual bypassing, delusional shit, one-sided shit that somebody can tell you. Cause I'm gonna tell you, even being from the streets and being in that dynamic, being in that duality, I was loving and my heart was so pure and so golden. Everybody tell you that in the streets, but that shit'll get you killed in the streets. And I'm really learning in the spiritual community to get you killed there too. Shit. Trying to have a good heart. Be just you just trying to be yourself and motherfuckers don't like you. Keep thinking your love and light can change everybody around you, and they'll just start feeling all jolly. And my last name is Jolly for the record. I don't care, man. You could be so loving to where people don't like you because you're loving. People won't like you because of the way other people love on you. I'm living this. People will question when you show up. It's too good to be true. You know? See, this the trickster. I'm speaking to Mercury here. People have been tricked and bamboozled and lied to and betrayed and and it's like you got the guards up and rightfully so. But I'm just saying it's all in your head. Because if your mind is telling you somebody ain't right, guess what? Your mind will begin to believe and perpetuate everything that's not right about the person or the thing. That's how it deals with likes and dislikes. It does not know the difference. All it realizes is what you're projecting and what it's showing you. Hence, it's simple if I tell you to go outside and just look for powder blue cars. And you like, Sensei, I ain't seen no powder blue car and I don't know how long. I guarantee you, since I done said it, you're going to be seeing them every goddamn day, once every goddamn 30 seconds or so. I promise you. Because the mind starts to pay attention to what you feed it. This is why we do affirmations. This is why we do things of meditation, journaling, to allow us to express something. So being honest about your words, promises, and thoughts, this that was just a sentence I had to put in there. It's just there, right? So clarifying your intentions before speaking, that takes an internal conversation. That takes you saying some shit to yourself before it comes out your mouth. Where is this coming from? See, this is a reaction versus a response. I'm kind of still speaking to Gemini Sagittarius here. So launch a refrain from communication-based endeavors, blogs, books, podcast. Oh, god damn it, shit. Now, I'm just telling you now. I know it's a lot of out here, and I be on blogs and I talk and I do all this stuff myself. But I'm just telling you, sometimes it's a good thing to break away from all the chatter. As a Gemini who will have 100 things going at the same damn time. I had a TV on, I have some music playing, I might have Clubhouse going in the background, I might be doing herbs. Well, you can't be me. Everybody ain't gonna be that. I'm just talking about how I operate because I've adapted to the ability to be mutable and to be able to do multitasking. Some people don't view multitasking as a good thing. You hear a lot of people saying multitasking ain't a good thing, but I'm telling you, your mind is designed to multitask. Your mind is designed to think about one thing at once. That's why people have so much trouble meditating. It is not designed to think about one thing at one time. You have to willingly practice that shit. Even in the yogic practices, to be able to focus on one thing for like 3 minutes, they say it takes you at least 21 to 27 years to do that. And I'm just talking about being able to focus on one thing for at least 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm talking about if I tell you to just focus on your pinky finger and nothing else comes up in your mind but your pinky finger for 3 minutes, and you start to feel the blood flow through your pinky finger. You start to feel your heartbeat throbbing through your pinky finger. You start to see the intricate veins and lines and your fingerprint going through your pinky finger. When the mind focuses on something, it opens up, it blossoms. We just had the blossom moon, the flower moon. See, the mind is the lotus, the thousand petal lotus, the crown. So you got to move up to the upper room, though. So you got to be in these chakras. It takes a willingness. I'm giving y'all a little bit of precursor because I'm feeling this right now. All right, I'm gonna be going a whole lot more deep into this in the workshop coming up Sunday. So reconnecting even with siblings, all right, soul siblings and friends and collaborations, because soul siblings, I'm glad that clarification, because when that is there, you got to understand. A lot of people view soulmates and a lot of different things, a lot of different ways. We don't heard a lot of different things about this. When I look at this on the level, on the simplicity level, because that's what Gemini wants to do, simplify everything. Is anybody that has ever made you feel anything, added to you in any type of way, made you see something differently, even if it was for a moment, even if it was bomb out the street, just a small, simple hug or energetic exchange, somebody made you just, just bright, or somebody made you mad or sad, or somebody fucked with you on the emotional spectrum in any type of way, is to me is a person that is helping your soul evolve. A lot of times we pick siblings that aren't really blood. I mean, this is Gemini energy. How many of y'all got bro? We use this term very loosely right now in 2025. Bro, even our children like to call us bro, and my daughter be like, bro. I be like, hold on, baby, hold on, baby. Yeah. I'm your dad. Well, okay, I understand it's a term of endearment, but goddamn, So when you see a lot of people do use these type of terms loosely, and this when I say when you don't heal what's going on with your family and your siblings and the people that dynamic of who you came up with and the people that you first begin to look at in a certain way, if that relationship has not been healed, it perpetuates into this relationship with these soul siblings and friends and collaborators. Damn, they sure act like my motherfucking sister. Nah, they sure act like they think they my motherfucking dad. They think they my brother. She sure think she my mama. Oh, that hell, I heard that so much in the spiritual community, you know. So when you talking about that relationship that we have with ourselves, it's perpetuated a lot. I'm talking about so much as we know through other people. All right. So being able to kind of tap into these aspects and seeing and discerning how these relationships can be playing out and what they mean for you on that level can bring a lot of mental clarity. All right. That's that mental chatter and realigning with the truth. So practice active listening. Anybody in this room, anybody who has Chiron and Gemini, right, which is another thing I kind of be speaking on for because the Chiron and Gemini people are going to be influenced during this Gemini season very heavily. All right, so people who have trouble or issues with the mind, or where they've been told how to think or what to think when they were young, even stuttering issues when you were young or a child. See, all this can be tied to your Mercury energy. Mercury in Gemini can also tie to the androgynous nature of somebody. Why somebody could be bisexual. Hell, even 2025, you got some people trisexual out here now. You fucking with Diddy and shit. But that's a whole nother. I ain't even do that. I'm not. This is not that Zoom. I'm not finna go there. Don't nobody ask me what I think, cause I ain't gonna say nothing about it. All I'm gonna say is there's some freak ass people out here, and Diddy just one of them, man. Cassie is too. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just leave that right there. And you can take that however you want to take that. As y'all know, my motto as a Gemini is fuck them people. So you can think what you want to think, feel what you want to feel. I just know freaks when I see them and when I hear shit. I don't give a damn what nobody say, okay? So when you talking about mental chatter and realigning it with the truth, regardless of how you feel, what you like or what you don't like about it, see, that's why another earth sign is Virgo, the facts. What do the facts say? Fuck what you saying. I just did it because of this. Your good intentions could pay the road straight to hell. Well, I was under these circumstances, and your good intentions pay the road straight to your hell. I'm just saying. Just how the shit go. The mundane don't give a fuck. The mundane, the planets, none of this. Do you think this shit curl? Cause that's the choice you made. I bet it felt good. I bet you liked it while it lasted. Cause otherwise, why you keep going back? I'm just saying. Curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought it back. When somebody experiences shit that they don't like, anybody in this goddamn space, if you ever experienced anything that you didn't like, did you ever go back to do that shit again? In any shape, form, or fashion. Now, I ain't just talking about with your jobs and all that shit, cause that's a mask. Cause you say you don't like the job, but you love that damn chick. So I ain't talking about that type of mundane relationship. I'm gonna get off into that a little later. I'm just talking about the relationship with your androgynous nature. That's Gemini, your curiosity and shit. See, you put Venus or Mars with Gemini or some shit, that's a curious ass person. They might not tell you about they things that they might be curious about, but that's a curious ass person. You know, you put them in the right circumstances, ain't no telling what you motherfucker do something strange for some change. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, like, and people love attention and love to be included. So, I'm just telling you how Gemini work. Gemini is the curious nature of a human being, especially when it comes to sexuality. I ain't even looked off into they aspects in their chart. I'm gonna tell you, part of me, my duality is a part of me want to look, and a part of me like fuck that shit. So I know that neither one of them I don't have to feed. So I'm just telling y'all about it now. Now, when you're dealing with that subtle mental child or realigning with the true practice, active listening and discernment in conversations is gonna be key. Your discernment should be on point at this point. I mean, everybody should be aware of bullshit when they hear it, is what I'm saying. If you're not, then you're choosing to ignore some shit. That's cognitive dissonance. That means you're still locked in some type of spell, some type of ism. And I highly doubt it if somebody's on this Zoom that you are still that person. Might be some shit you might be still releasing or letting go or whatever, but I doubt if you're still that person. So stand on discernment, practice active listening, and a simple way to deal with active listening is you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Okay, so sometimes active listening just requires that we learn to react and not respond by simply hearing people from an aspect of trying to weed out what we like or what we don't like about what they're saying so we can hear the truth about the thing. It's the same essence of when you see a flower, you pick it from the garden, right? And you just because you like the flower. The same thing happens when we deal with a thought and somebody speaking and you hear something that they don't like. You just pick that. You just pick that shit like a flower out of garden, and that shit gonna die. That shit gonna wither away. You might put a little water on it, put your feelings on it and shit, put a little sauce on it, make it sound good, put it in a vase, dress it, you know what I'm saying? But the shit gonna die. It's gonna die eventually. You just gotta, you know. So certain shit ain't worth talking about. Discernment. Yeah, certain conversation, you just let that motherfucker die. Hey, you know what? You know how sometimes you just stop talking and motherfucker just stop talking too? There ain't nobody mad then. You just stop talking to me. Cause people hear they self when they knowing they saying stupid shit. I'm just telling you how it go. Sometimes you let somebody talk by shutting the fuck up and they hear they self and they like, damn, let me shut my ass up. Yes, shut the fuck up. Cause you tripping now. Okay. So sometimes letting people shut the fuck up and you leading with shutting the fuck up can be very powerful in discernment. Okay. So when you deal with Gemini versus Sagittarius, the axis of truth and thought and truth. This the journey of relative truth, Gemini, universal truth, Sagittarius. All right, the axis of mental perspective and connection or concern with understanding the world through the facts versus wisdom. I'm gonna say that one more time. This polarity is about trying to understand the world through facts versus wisdom, integrating the axis of the 180, right, to create that 360 degrees of awareness, to evolve from the polarity to wholeness, from the polarity to wholeness. Damn, I should have put that in all caps. See, Gemini gathers data. Sagittarius makes meaning of what the fuck I've gathered. You see? See, Gemini teaches us to stay open and curious, while Sagittarius demands commitment to a path. Yeah, but see. This is why Gemini can start a lot of shit with thought, but don't finish it. Your Gemini energy can tell me a lot about what you start and what you don't finish. And then I can look at where your Gemini is and say, damn, what's in the opposite? Where is your Sag? Prime example. My Gemini is in the seventh house. My Sagittarius is my rising. Okay. Now, what that means for me is I initiate everything with wisdom and shit, and then I have to go in and articulating data, go into relationships with this higher consciousness and just going in all fiery and before you know it, and I'm in a long-term ass relationship, still gathering data and shit. See, I'm just, it's not a bad thing. So please, when y'all hear me say that, don't think I'm just, I know the tone was kind of condescending, right? But y'all know I speak like that sometimes. But I'm just giving you the dynamics of how the polarity of me learning my higher self is played out through relationships, conversations, one-on-one conversations, going to college and looking for higher truths and having to find them and losing people, seeing things about myself through betrayal and heartbreak. And you get what I'm saying? See, that's my axis. That's my polarity, right? So that's how the information that made me gather certain things about the duality of me. Cause like, nigga, what did you rush into, nigga? You said yes to this shit, nigga. Don't be mad now cause the motherfucker shut. You get what I'm saying? So it's like all that inner chatter, the inner staying open to being curious and still, okay, my curiosity, I can't change the fact that sometimes I might get too curious about somebody or what it can be like to be with them and think. So you know what I'm saying? So all the young puppy love shit, and I really just liked you yesterday and today I might be like, you ain't shit to me. Gemini, So when you talking about putting Gemini and Sagittarius together, it demands a commitment to a path. And that's why I've been in a lot of committed relationships. Because my Sagittarius is feeding my Gemini. And so it will allow me to commit to something when I want to be in it. When both of those energies are about changing your mind and not being faithful. Like no bullshit. So when that's there and I'm making a willing choice, so I've told down there everybody I've been in a relationship with that I'm with you because I want to be. That shit now I know how true it is because I know what's in my chart. Because I got choices, Gemini and Libra in the seventh house. It's always been there, So it's when you talk about understanding the archetype, see, this is what I mean embodying the chart. So this is what I do in my readings, and I say everybody who got a reading for me or whatever the case may be, y'all know how I do. So bringing these two together brings mind and service, truth to truth, and mind and service to truth, not ego. So Gemini asks questions, Sagittarius answers them. All right, I'm gonna say that one more time. Gemini asks questions. That part of you that asks questions. Sagittarius, the higher wisdom, is that part of you that answers them. You ever ask yourself a question, then you yourself gave yourself an answer. You might have said God told it to you. It was a download. You might have said it was a whole lot of shit. But you asked the question, Gemini, and your Sagittarius energy. That's why I can look at somebody's Sagittarius energy and tell what they trust. Your Sagittarius energy. I'm giving y'all some gems on what I'll be giving on what I'll be talking about on during this full workshop. Okay, your Sagittarius energy can tell you what you trust. All right, how you trust what you trust. All right, like what's aspect in your Sag energy? Where is it in your chart? All right, when you ask yourself a question, where do you go to get the answers? This is why a lot of people go to school. Sagittarius rules degrees and things like that. That's why some people like they ain't never thought about getting no degree. Shit, they was good with just learning or going with what they know. A lot of Sagittarius be caught up in that paradox. All right. So when you deal with this Gemini asking questions and Sagittarius asking them and so on, especially when you until on even on a soul level understanding emerges, right? Because when you begin to bring the fact that you are the one answering the questions and you're the one answering them, you are asking and answering the questions, then you'll understand the essence of the higher wisdom or the power of your connection to God. Hence Sagittarius is the truth seeker, the guru, the messiah, the Jupiterian energy, the how you light it up, right? So Gemini corresponds more closely to lovers, especially in lovers in duality, especially in chart. Now this is kind of dealing with the tarot, all right? Because I want to touch on this. I'll be kind of going a little bit more deeper into this once again during the workshop. But when you deal with the lover's duality, charts, values, mirrored selves, right? I also deals with the magician card because the magician together, Gemini and Virgo equals the magician, right? Mercury's energy, thought into form, manifestation, focus, intention. The Knight of Swords, all right? That is more quick thinking, bold action, intellectual passion. So the lovers and the souls charts kind of goes into place with this card, or I would say this energy of this new moon, because it represents decision making from alignment rather than impulse or fear, right? Because on the Gemini, we can kind of meet the dual parts of ourselves that can be
Do you
impulsive and
really
fearful and
want
shit.
to know what these
And we can
pills
ask
really be
ourselves
doing?
all these different things, who we are in our mind and our heart, even in our voice and our harmony. So when you're talking about questioning yourself, who are we when our mind and our heart and our voice are in harmony? Who are you when you trust every part of yourself?
They probably got
Right?
shit. They probably got
So
they,
when you
they be
talk about being
shitting
able
on
to
them.
trust yourself and being able to honor yourself, it goes into a whole different dynamic when you begin to understand the power of duality and the power of the polarities of you and how to bring them all into fruition. All right. So when you're dealing with the duals, whoever it is, can you mute your mic for me, please? Thank you. So when you're dealing with the duals of Gemini and even with the flavors of them, right? Because the duals are basically the lower aspect when you deal with the degrees of a sign, which can also show the shadow side of a sign or how you can deal with certain things in relation or connected
Understand.
to whatever your
Let me
degrees
say
are
for all
in.
this some
You know what I'm
nasty,
saying?
ignorant,
So
dumb,
when you talking about the
stupid ass
aspect
shit.
of
But
being able to fall into this place of honoring yourself and all that good shit, like you'll find yourself falling out of place. All right. And that's Hakeem, brother. Okay, I see you muted. Thank you. So when you talking about finding yourself in this aspect of caught up in the middle of some shit, you know what I'm saying? Or caught up in the middle of a thought versus action. Caught up in what you gather versus what you're moving towards or what you're expressing. This can represent an aspect of a duad could be influencing you. Remember, the zodiacs are influencing you. They're yours, but they're not you. I'm just speaking to what you can kind of feel from an influence of Gemini overall together based off the different aspects of what it can bring. All right, that's kind of what a Gemini duad is going to represent. So at 0 to 10 degrees is the Gemini duad. So people who were born, I'm gonna give you the aspects on how this plays out with your birthdays. All right. Now everybody on this call has a birthday. Depending on what time of that season of your sun sign that you were born, that will create what degree of that sun sign that you are. Hence, for me, my Gemini sun sign, I was born on the 6th day of June. We know that Gemini truly starts on the 21st. Sometimes even starting some anxious is on the 22nd, but we just gonna deal with what they telling us now. We'll go with the time. I won't confuse nobody. All right. So we deal with the Gemini starting on the 20th. That's what they said, right? And we said it's full blown on the 21st. So that means that on the 21st day, that's the first degree of Gemini. 10 days after that, all right, that would be going into the next deacon of Gemini. This is why when you deal with any sign, all traits could be different in the way people express them based off the day they were born. If you were born during the later time of Gemini, around the 20th, the 17th, the 18th, see, you're in the last deacons, right? So you're in an Aquarius duad. You were born in the first 10 days of Gemini, all right? You're in a Gemini duad. If you were born in the first 20 days. I mean the second 10 days of a Gemini energy, you're in a Libra dual. So that means you're influenced. I'm giving y'all some gems on how you can look at your Gemini friends. I want you to look at all y'all Gemini friends. And these are May Geminis, late May, early June Geminis, all right? But late May kind of fall into that first 10 degrees, okay? Because you will know that how many days is it in May, right? 30, 31 days in May. And so that'll give you 10 days after the 20th right there. So that means off the top, the next Gemini or the next people that were born in the month of June fall into the second deacon of Gemini. This is why they say May Geminis and June Geminis can be different. I'm giving y'all the math on. There's some math to this. There's an equation to this. So this is going to be the first duad is the pure Gemini, talkative, witty, playful, mentally agile. Think about anybody born during this time, all the way up until the last day of May, per se. All right. Now, When you deal with Geminis that were born after the month of May, right? They fall into the Gemini and the Libra duad. More relational, charming, right? Focus, harmony, and communication. I was born during this duad, okay? Now, when you deal with the last ones who kind of come right after me, probably like on the 10th of Gemini, 10th of June, on the 11th, all the way up until the 20th, per se. All right. Those Geminis on Aquarius do they're more inventive, they're more socially conscious, they're more visionary communicators. Look at Tupac, June 17th. All right. So you could look at any Gemini energy. I gave y'all away. Now, this science applies to every zodiac sign. So anybody ever wonder why all zodiac signs can act different, but they all don't act? This is why right here. Now, if you understand, even if you're not a Gemini, and you understand where Gemini is in your chart, based off the degree that it is in your chart, this is the influence of Gemini in your birth chart, based off of what degree your Gemini placement is in. If you don't have any Gemini placements, if your third house is empty, find your Mercury. Find where your Mercury is, what it's connected to, and that will tell your Gemini energy. All right. Now, when you deal with the themes around this, the lower expressions of Gemini is going to be gossip, scattered thinking, manipulation of facts, right? So the higher expression is conscious communication, intellectual integration, harmonizing duality. See, that's the don't give a fuck Gemini. The other one gonna gossip and be scattered thinking, gonna lie like a motherfucker because of manipulating the facts because they don't really know them all. I'm just telling you how Gemini operate, right? And sometimes the Gemini manipulate the facts because they know you don't know them all. Just telling you some real shit. So Mercury being the messenger of the gods is the ruler of Gemini. Mercury is central. It's I'm talking about to this lunation because now you talking about what is being um emphasized during the introspection of an influence of a super dark moon, super new moon, which is the darkest moon, and how it's causing us to go within, right? So you dealing with the psychopomp. This is gonna be dealing with Mercury travels between worlds, divine and mundane, the trickster, holding the paradox of truth and illusion. The alchemist translates an idea into word and word into reality. The word becoming flesh. See, you gotta see the alchemist truly translate an idea into word, expressing what I thought making it into words. Now I conveyed it into an actual thing because words create worlds. Now I'm expressing an idea, and now that idea becomes a reality. Hence, in turn, meaning the word becoming flesh, the word becoming reality. If you're sitting in a chair, that word became reality. That idea became reality. You're laying on the wherever you are, you're in your car, wherever you are, you on a Zoom. Somebody thought about Zoom. It became reality. Somebody thought about the internet. It became reality. See? So don't tell me that the mundane and the spiritual are separate. They're not. It's just about who's using it, who's alchemizing their ideas and words into reality. So Mercury in the body and the nervous system transmitting signals and ideas, lungs, breath, voice, speech, hands, right? Dexterity, writing, creating, tongue, communication, taste, articulation. All these things are what Mercury and Gemini rules. Also Virgo, because the way you analyze the information is the way you're going to express the idea. That's the magician. All that alchemist is when you put Mercury and Virgo together as an archetype, and now you create the Mercurial energy of Hermes or Tahuti, the Jedi, the messenger, the one who communicates with God. Where else you getting the thoughts from? When you start to get your thoughts from God, the source per se, down you trust them and you move on them and you lean out on your own understanding. I mean, I ain't trying to take you out of church tonight. I said I wasn't gonna have y'all too long now. Okay. So when you begin to lean out on your own understanding and you begin to trust those downloads, no matter who think you crazy, you see what I'm saying? See, this the genius. This is why Mercury exalts in Uranus and the energy of Aquarius is going to be heavily influential during this period. So this is why this impact, right, is going to be about translating thought into language, or soul thought into language. And a clean Mercury, balanced communication, creates heaven on earth by aligning speech with spirit, speaking with authority. Abracadabra, baby. Hmm? You command it, it shall be. You know that nature is always creating and working on your behalf. You don't have to search for abundance. You are abundance. You feel me? So on a collective level, how this is going to be dealing with is increasing social interest of, especially when it's dealing with the unrest of misinformation and is on the rampant. Is a lot of this. Be very mindful of misinformation. Massive shift around digital and social communication system. I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about reparations, all type of stuff. Make sure you got your family lineage either on a ledger or or you're telling it orally. We're gonna have to go back to the oracles and we deal with the digital aspects, making sure that your family history, your family lineage, property, names, put it on a ledger. With everything starting to become digital, nothing is gonna be your property no more. The moment you put your name, your information, anything about your personal life into Chat GPT, you just handed it over to AI. I'm just telling you. You don't got to put your names. Stay general. Stay, when you dealing with a lot of this stuff, making sure you maintain some sense of privacy is gonna be huge with your, not your intellectual property, but when you deal with how somebody can invoke you when you die. That's the word of power I'm speaking to. When somebody say your name, what is gonna come with it? That's the shit I'm saying hold sacred. Now, once again, I'll be tapping more off into this coming up on the workshop for those who want to tap in. So, new trends on how we learn, speak, and share, surge in AI, tech, educational debates, and rethinking media narratives. This is going to happen as well, right? A lot of changes in social media and media is going to happen. Decisions being made or demanded faster than ever, requiring stillness within the storm. So a lot of it's going to feeling rushed. That anxiety is going to increase. If everything is a priority, nothing is. All right. A lot of things are going to demand that you make a decision right now, right? Being quick, being mutable, making a decision on the spot. I tell people who have a lot of Mercury or Virgo energy or deal with a lot of chatter of the mind, indecisiveness or mental, whatever the case may be, you're going to be the ones that are going to be needed during this time because you're used to thinking quick. You're used to thinking big, used to moving on the fly. See, these type of people are going to be needed right now, where everybody's still struggling with what decision to make. When you already been caught up in a life of being indecisive, and making decisions for other people, and it's just been your life. So it's easy for you now. So guess what? They need you outside. Somebody needs your presence. Somebody needs your thought forms. Your ideas need to become reality. So that's why the mutable signs or Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, a lot of these signs are going to be going through a so-called huge shift, all right, especially in their realities and all that good stuff. But once again, I'll be speaking more in depth to that coming up on the 25th. So especially when you're dealing with some misunderstandings, especially in relationships, can emerge, but also into clarity, especially if the communication is honest. Of course, I love to say having hard conversations is going to be very key right now. A call to speak truth kindly and ask questions with curiosity instead of like you reached a goddamn decision on something. Some people be asking you questions because they already reached a decision on who the fuck you are. If you know that you are that person, then stop asking questions knowing damn well no answer that this person give you is gonna be enough anyway, good enough anyway. Cause you already got your mind made up. So sometimes we put ourselves in these situations because we think we can control the conversation when you actually looking for some type of reaction to make you feel good. That's manipulation. So when you talk about the ability to bridge gaps between perspective, especially across cultures and generations, that's going to require a lot of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes or seeing something from somebody else's perspective. So the themes of duality, choice, and accountability. Gemini asks, "What are you saying versus what are you doing?" So it teaches that the words that shape worlds, right? Y'all heard me say words create worlds all the time. So each thought and phrase holds power. Right? The I am, the I think, the I have, I believe. Why do you think every zodiac sign has a mantra? It has words to define it, to depict it, to show how we express it. So promoting acceptance on a paradoxical experience instead of choosing sides and shit, both and instead, either of or, you know what I'm saying? All that type of shit. Because can you choose life or death? A lot of people say they tired of being here and y'all ready to escape the reality, but you know it's easy to do that now. You can go jump off a bridge. It's 1,000 ways to die, but it's only one way to live, and that's now. See, you can't live tomorrow. You can't live yesterday. The only time you can live is right motherfucking now. So all the other shit is mental. I'm telling you how the mind is a dangerous motherfucker. You living everywhere else except goddamn right now. So be here, be now, be present. I mean, what else you got? Where is you going? You know? Everywhere else you're going is just in your mind any goddamn way because I'm telling you, the mind don't know the difference. Just go to the movies. I tell people all the time, and that's what I told one of my brothers. You think thoughts and emotions are separate? Tell me why you feel what you feel at the goddamn movies then, if thoughts and emotions are separate. If you think and how you feel and how you perceive reality is truly predicated on your own willingness or your own power to perceive and not thinking that outside influences don't mold a lot of that shit, watch a movie. Just think about the movie. This just that's a simple. I can just start right there. All right. Don't even let me go to sports and all this other shit. Open up a whole nother door and show you why so many people have heart attacks before and after Super Bowls or big games for their favorite teams and shit. And people think we ain't emotionally connected to shit. We can cry for another human being, and somebody can do some of the most egregious shit and post a GoFundMe. And you stop playing with this shit, okay? So that ability to bridge these gaps and all that type of shit is gonna be very huge right now. Transmuting that energy into a more harmonious, mundane living is what this is gonna be about. All right, and that daily mental hygiene, journaling, affirming, of course, mantras, breath work is gonna be huge. I should have capitalized that. Clear communication and rituals, being able to set intentions before difficult conversations. I love to tell people or ask people, is this conversation for you or is it for them? Any of my mentees, anybody that's done work with me, they know I'm a drill that and drill that and drill that. Because if you don't have that conversation with yourself first and you go into it, and it's simple as this. If you go off into this conversation and you want this person to be accountable because you mad at them, whatever the case may be, and this person turn around and say, fuck you, I don't give a damn about you, they cuss you out. Or can you walk away saying, I said what I said, I got it off my chest? I ain't tripping on the way you take it, the way you respond, because this conversation was for me. It wasn't so much as for you. See, this is a conversation I say called leaving people with their shit. Okay, so it's gonna be a call to speak that. So remember, speaking truth kindly and asking questions with curiosity will lead to more of a harmonious flow within this clear communication rituals. So setting those intentions before those different conversations, creating sacred learning spaces, sacred, not safe. Say that one more goddamn time. Because if it's sacred, it don't have to be safe. Anything sacred don't need safety. I'm gonna get off into that a little bit more deeper. I'm gonna say that one more time. Anything sacred does not need safety, baby. It's protected if it's sacred. You ain't gotta protect the goddamn thing because it's automatic that it's sacred to everybody. This is why what we finna witness also with children and the hurting and the humane, the inhumane experiences against children. This shit is about to come out. Some people finna pay. I'm telling you, man. Y'all finna see some crazy shit. Y'all thought this shit was weird and wild. You ain't seen shit yet. I'm telling you. Cause with Gemini and with Jupiter and Gemini and expansion and shit and light on all the chatter, all the bullshit, Pisces in the North Node, hidden enemies and shit out in the public and shit now. Your enemies can't hide. People that don't like you can't hide. They can't even hide from you no more. A motherfucker going, I'm gonna tell you how this shit gonna work. Somebody gonna say some shit to the wrong person and not know that they still fuck with you, and then they gonna think that they can still So this person ain't gonna have no choice but when they see you, but to let it be known that they don't like you, which is going to expose them, not you. Fuck them people, man. Let them expose themselves. And let the people who pick a side, let them expose themselves too, because they were never with you any goddamn way. See, I'm talking like a real Gemini right here. That's why Kanye came out and said, fuck Jay-Z, fuck. I'm telling you why he came out and said that shit. He meant that shit. He meant what the fuck he said. I'm telling you. Cause Gemini can know when somebody I'm just telling you how this shit plays out. All right. But when you're dealing with the transmutation of this energy, it's a beautiful time to do it. Creating sacred learning spaces. Curate, right? What you mentally ingest, right? Be very mindful. Knowing that you cannot hear what you heard, you cannot see what you see. So be very mindful, be very aware as you enter certain spaces or open your mind to certain things, especially when you know that you are in a fragile space with dealing with your thoughts or your emotions, okay? Honor yourself, honor your boundaries, honor where you are. And solitude is where you return to source. Remember, everything don't need attention. Every conversation don't need to be had. Sometimes just sitting with yourself and checking yourself can be so much more profound than actually having a conversation with somebody. Being real with your goddamn self is one of the most powerful things you can ever do out here in this world. Cause you start opening yourself up to somebody else's psychological drama, you can open yourself up right back to their bullshit. Cause you thought you was ready. You thought, you thought. So track your thoughts. All right. Ask, is this true? Is this helpful? All right. Live your truth aloud. Speak from the soul, not the wound. If you catch the wound coming up, that awareness as you choose to speak beyond the wound or speak beyond what hurt you, right? It can lead you to so many more soulful, wholesome, healing experiences. I promise you. Might be some tears, might be a lot of shit going on, but in the end, when it's all said and done, a better you will emerge. I promise you. So from mundane to sacred, Gemini spiritual role. Gemini teaches us that the mundane is sacred when we're conscious of it. I'm gonna say that one more time. Gemini teaches us that the mundane is sacred when we're conscious of it. By speaking with care, asking meaningful questions, staying curious, choosing kindness over correctness. I'm gonna tell you how it makes it so much more sacred because you start honoring the people. I'm gonna say that one more time. You start honoring the people because you see them as twin. Hey, twin, what's up, twin? I got a couple of twins. I got some twins here tonight. You understand? Hey, twin, right? So when you see yourself and other people, when you see the divine in all things see the divine in you. When you see love in all things see love in you. Each experience that you spend with somebody because you're so present in the mundane, it is so sacred to you. You spend every moment with somebody like it's your last. You walk away from people and you realize that it might be my last time seeing you. So let me hug you a little tighter. Let me be mindful of what I say to you. Let me watch my word. Fuck what I don't like or what I like. Let me just be mindful of being present for you right now. Cause this might be it for both of us. Cause this how fragile this shit is. One day you're here, one day you gone. That's how sacred this goddamn reality is. So we become bridges between spirit and matter, between chaos and clarity. How many times y'all met somebody in a chaotic state and they said, man, because of you, I see shit so much clearer. Chiron and Gemini people are this gift. The muse is Gemini. See? What sparks you? See, I'm gonna talk a little bit more deeper. I'm telling you, coming up Sunday, but the muse is Gemini, you know? So when you dealing with even some of the mythological aspects and the influence of Gemini, the roots of Gemini and Mercury, the divine twins, the constellation, Gemini linked to Castor and Pollux. That's kind of some Greco-Roman mythology. The twin brothers, one mortal Castor and the other one divine Pollux. This is where this image comes from. Okay. Now, The symbolism, it deals with or encapsulates the duality of morality versus immortality, the mind versus the soul, the eternal choice between the opposites, the mind and the soul. Because Gemini represents a split in consciousness, right? We've been talking about that split, how it shows up in so many different ways. The self that identifies with matter, ego, all the shit that you gathered, see? But the self yearns for divine spirit and a journey towards more integration, not elimination of duality. I ain't trying to run from being human. I love this shit. The demiurge. I love to love. I love to be on Zooms and talk with y'all and be on Clubhouse and meet people. I love to meet new people. I love to talk and create social interactions and smile with somebody. And I love to feel. I love to be human. I love all this shit that comes with this human experience. See, that's the merging of the duality. See, when you able to take that integration and not try to eliminate something from the experience, even of you, what are you trying to get rid of parts of you for? See, this equates to trying to get rid of parts of your brain. Y'all know where I'm going with that, right? Can you ever get rid of memory? That's what your brain holding on to. So is your body, right? Can you stop remembering? Can you get rid of any experience that you ever experienced? Can you just unthink a thought? Can you unthink and can you unfeel a feeling? All you can do is just choose not to identify with it. Be ye renewed of the mind, the willingness of the mind. See, see, the willpower of the human being has to show up because the mind is yours, but it is not you. See, the ego, the self that yearns for the divine spirit, the merging of spirit into matter, the body, the spirit being at home in the flesh. That journey towards integration, not elimination. See. So when you're dealing with this, the underworld and traveling between Olympus and Earth is what those archetypes represented, right? So the power of speech and also this also represented a lot about Tahuti and Mayat. Now I'm gonna speak a lot deeper into Tahuti and Mayat connection with the heart and the brain coherence. All right. I'll be going into that, of course. I'm gonna be going deeper once again Sunday on that one, all right. So when you're dealing with, Hermes, of course, Tahuti is what we know it as on a comedic perspective. Now, this also deals with being able to use the power of speech, commerce, speed, trickery, messages, memory, transformation. Mercury bridges heaven and earth and mind and body and the inner and the outer. He is the translator of divine will into human understanding. Divine will into human understanding. Cause how else would you know the shit that you can will yourself to do if your curiosity didn't cause you to want to experience it? Like, damn, I didn't know I can do that. I could do that too. I didn't know I could do that. Watch a child. Now, everybody on this call should look at every child differently. Ain't every child living in Mercury years, first 13 years of your life? Ain't they ain't they explain ain't they exploring some parts of themselves with speech and heaven to earth and mind and body, and you see what I'm saying? So who's molding that experience? See, this is why y'all heard me say we're supposed to be cultivating children, not raising them. You raise a baby cow, a baby goat, that's a kid. Right? These are children. They flowers. They need the right ambiance to grow. Look at the generation that we're dealing with now. See, you got to understand that Pluto is coming into Aquarius. That means there's an opposition with the Pluto and Leo generations, which is a lot of the baby boomers and shit. And now we got Neptune and Saturn and shit moving out into Aries. So that means it's going to be opposing the Pluto and Libra generation. So we about to go through some shit with these youngsters and what the fuck they think they want. And if you really pay attention to the generational aspects, look at the mothers of these generation of the children. I'm from the hood. I keep it real. I know a lot of mamas that promote their children being gangsters. My baby don't play. That boy just like his daddy. Look at him. Look at my baby. He dressing him up, had gold chains when he was young, and said how much of a man he was, how he wasn't gonna play when he got older. Now he the young nigga with the switch, ready to go mop everything down. And mama right there in court talking about, don't play. I was playing with my baby. So, hey, this ain't a blame game. I'm just telling y'all signs of the times, because these are the same ones. They dad is probably in jail or locked up. Or some of their daddies didn't take care of him because he fell in love with somebody else and moved out the goddamn hood. Telling y'all some real motherfucking shit, man. I know a bunch of brothers that had women, had children, and they just left them in the hood. And he found him a girl that wasn't from the hood or from a whole nother hood and married her, and the children left down there, and now the son can't stand their daddy, and he wondering why when his children look at him, they looking at him with a sense of disdain, and why he don't like listening to no goddamn body, and he's a young man trying to find his way in this world. This is generational shit. People think it has a lot to do with individual choices. I'm speaking beyond what you think is your individual choice in this reality. This is planetary influences at play. It's beyond a lot of human understanding, right? So when you dealing with the development cycle of Mercury, it rules the first 13 years of somebody's life. Because when the brain is forming its language, logic, and emotional interpretation systems, this is what happens. Because the right brain governs an imagination, intuition, nonverbal symbols, rhythm, holistic perception, and all faculties. Mercury channels through symbolic meaning. Meaning there's science to prove everything that I'm telling you. Meaning that if you look at a human being and the way we learn, our brains retain 33% of what we see and only 10% of what we read. Look it up. I'm just explaining to you astrologically how that plays out. How your brain only retains 33%, 10% of what it reads, and 33% of what the fuck it sees. Now you see why we all can be like, I'm hands on, I'm visual, I need to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, show it to me. This is why Morpheus told Neo in the Matrix, show me. Neo laid there and talking about, I know karate. Morpheus said, show me. You know what I'm saying? Because when you deal with Mercury's influence on early speech development, naming, mimicking, storytelling, absorption of beliefs and programming, formation of the inner dialogue, what do I believe? All that happens in those first 13 years of every human being's life. It's why by the time somebody 14, they start smelling themselves, it's up and it's stuck. Sometimes it happens before the age of 14, especially depending on somebody had to grow up before their time. I'm speaking to a lot of people on this call life. I smoked my first joint when I was 12 years old. I had sex. Shit, my first. You talking about virginity broken at 10, 11. You don't even know your body yet. I'm having sex with a girl that didn't even know her body. So I'm just telling you how this developmental cycle has been influenced by a lot of outside shit. I ain't even add the indoctrination to that. I didn't add how you had to learn the alphabets and spelling words. And I'm gonna get off into that a little later, but you know, I'm just speaking to the first. You talking about somebody who knew this. Why would they govern us all the way up until our adolescent years? Well, we got to go through elementary to junior high into high school, and then they put a cap and gown on us and cap us off with a black hat with four sides on it that's shaped like a square. So when you get off into establishing truth based on observation, if somebody's creating the aspects of what you observe and how you observe it, that means somebody else could be also creating what you think is the truth, even about yourself. So before the ego learns to speak for itself is spoken into existence by the voices of others. Mercury, right? The archetype of the internal narration. Somebody's scribing your life. Hey, what you want to be when you grow up? Hey, you're gonna grow up and have to pay taxes. The American dream is that you get married and you get you a bunch of money and you live a meaningful life, a successful life by gathering a bunch of shit. And if you don't, then you haven't lived a good life. Now you got to do certain things to be civilized out here in this world. You want to make it in this world now. In order for you to go from kindergarten to the first grade, you got to get you got to get past these tests. You got to do all these things. Oh man, shit. Do everything would just be you. Everything would just be you, right? So when you're dealing with before the ego learns to speak for itself, it's spoken into existence by the voice of others. This is why I tell people you don't need to kill your ego. You should resurrect that motherfucker. You don't need to die to kill all the shit that you think is you. All right. So that's why the Egyptians linked Mercury to Tahuti, a Thoth, the god of writing, language, sacred geometry. The Babylonians tracked Mercury to predict psychological shifts during certain moon phases. All right. So the Babylonians actually used to use the shift of Mercury mixed with a moon phase to tell you what the psychology of the human being is going to shift into. Hence the new and the full moon, and how it can deal with the movement of the emotions, and how the emotions of us also respond to that, and how it illuminates the natural state of somebody's being. So of course, the Hermeticists view Mercury, Hermes Trismegistus, as the guide to self-realization through language. Hence Quicksilver, or the energy of he who rises, also as above, so below. That's a mercurial hermetic principle showing the correspondence between mental images and physical reality. Words are spells. The word spelling originates from spell casting. Language was sacred, creative, and karmic. To speak was to shape reality. In ancient times, writing was a magical art only accessible to initiated priesthoods. Everybody didn't have the right to write. I'm telling you. Why you think they started fucking with us with reading and writing? Everybody wasn't allowed to write because they knew the power of writing. They knew writing was creating shit. They knew writing was bringing something into existence. Hence why they got us typing every goddamn thing now, and why they took cursive out of school. I only want us to learn print, right? So when you talking about being able to speak or shape your reality, and now using magic or writing as an art, priesthoods were initiated into that. So language as an indoctrination and control. English, a language of commerce and control. English in Mercury's modern vehicle, but its design is double edged, right? Because you got homophones and double meanings that create confusion and shit. Words like government, govern the mind, or spelling, hinting at subconscious control and systems and shit. Advertising, politics, education systems, or spell casting machines like a motherfucker. Repeating phrases, signs, mantras to imprint your belief. Words are worlds, letters or ladders or loops, depending on how consciously you use them. So isms is another thing. I'll be speaking more deeply onto this as well. Now, the power of thought forms. Because words like capitalism, feminism, racism, idealism show how suffixes, isms, create mental constructs. They shape group thinking. They become identity anchors and shit, right? You believe in feminism, you racism, or you an activist, you this, you this, you that. They trigger emotional responses regardless of what the fucking truth is. That's what lets you know it's a spell, all right? So Mercury in the trickster aspect shows us that language is not neutral, but it creates filters of perception. Now, gossip as a digital currency, communication in the age of noise. I want y'all to really understand the age of noise, because the age of Aquarius and air and spirit, that means you can hear it. The winds are speaking, air is speaking. Yeah, y'all ever seen them movies where they'll send a bird somewhere with a message and shit? That was the age of Aquarius and the age of Gemini. Whenever you hear them, when they started to build the temples of the Buddhas,
You want to go first?
all right, the temples of the Buddhas, that's the age of Gemini, all
Appreciate you,
right.
guys. $20.
So those ages can be very indicative of the times that we
I don't
find
know the
ourselves
time.
in,
Amazon sale.
and also how we find ourselves in
Thank
the
you.
aspect of being able to see ourselves from from an animalistic perspective, and how the animals have played such a huge part in spiritual totems and how we see ourselves on the aspect of a spirit animal per se and things of that nature. All right. So when you're understanding that spirit is birds, it is anything that use the earth, how we use communication quickly, how things can travel from one place to another fastly, right? Or more swiftly, I would say. Right. So these emotional triggers, all these things regardless of the truth, because gossip is a new digital currency, communication in an age of noise. While gossip thrives because it mimics tribal bonding and it reinforces social cohesion, but without depth, that's the mundane. See, this is why anybody who's, I know Diamond is in here, you understand with the aspects of Krishna being the trickster, right? Krishna being able to gossip with the old folks and laugh with the youngsters, right? Gossip is a way of life. Cause I'm telling you, you can't help people love to talk about shit. It's just it's mercury. You can't help it, right? Because it's dopamine driven. It's designed to stimulate, not inform. People are not looking for information with gossip, they're looking to be stimulated. Who got the tea? Who got this? Who got that? Think about how certain information can drain the fuck out of you. See, gossip is mercurial energy without direction. Pure surface level exchange for quick hits of validation. Right? I just wanted to hear it, get a little bit of it. Quick hit of dopamine from Instagram, Instagram of dopamine. Boom, on a post. So social media becomes an echo chamber. Words become ritualized opinions and shit. Meaning that you will hear the same word to describe the same shit and everybody use them over and over. And now we got a ritualized ass opinion. Memes become sigils because memes don't even need a lot of words. They just visual mantras. I'm just telling y'all what's going on. Communication becomes performance, not connection. I don't know who can't resonate with that. How many of y'all know and recognize how many people just having performative ass conversations and they ain't connecting on a goddamn thing? Talking about what they mad at, what they don't like. Ain't making no progress. Ain't nobody coming together to do nothing real. Just an echo chamber to talk about what you like and what you don't like. And somehow it makes you feel better. I'm just telling you that the somehow it's linked to a chemical. That's it. You weren't looking for information, you were looking for stimulation and validation. So this super new moon, right? Internal rewiring and liberation. Because it's going to open up the portals of memory alchemy. A chance to break spells that we speak over ourselves. Free the voice from trauma, dogma, right? All that mimicking shit, monkey brain shit, bird brain shit. Reclaiming internal sovereignty through awareness of thought. Be ye renewed of the mind. Once again, internal perspective shift. Begin listening to that voice beneath the noise, intuition, higher self. Discern between programmed thoughts and soul guidance. Uncloud the mental stream with silence. Breathe breathe and intention, breath and intention. Now, cultivating more mental fortitude. Silence is sacred to Mercury. That's sacred Mercury. All right. Meditation becomes the practice of not believing every fucking thought. So meditation is not what you do, it's what you can become. This moon allows for the rewriting of the neural scripts through conscious self-dialogue. Mercury is the master of perception. Gemini in the class is the classroom of the mental freedom. This new moon is the initiation into the divine thought. So of course, here's some words I got for you. Some ways you can utilize this energy. Hopefully you all got the PDF. All right, so avoiding words like avoiding sarcasm, gossip, victim talk for 3 days. Observe what shifts, mirror work. Speak to yourself in the mirror every morning with intention. I am conscious, right? I am a conscious creator of my reality. Writing some new mantras. Replace old internal stories with new mantras like my words serve light. I listen more than I speak. I do not confuse thoughts with truth. A breath mantra is I inhale. As you inhale, I receive truth. Exhale, I release illusion. Take a deep breath into your nose. Somebody want to do that with me now. Take a slow breath into your nose. I receive truth. Exhale. I release illusion out through your mouth. All right. So my final thoughts on this is what from prison to prisons. Mercury can imprison or liberate. Gemini can scatter or synthesize. The super new moon invites you to become the scribe of your own soul, not the echo of your fucking programming. Yeah, I know I just had to reiterate the word fucking. There's just so much seasoning in that. Now, when you stop chasing meaning from others, your mind becomes a temple again. When you choose your words with love, you create heaven on earth, one thought at a time. All right. Now, I wanted to tap on some energy of Gemini in the Bible. I won't go too deep in this tonight, but I did want to give a little glimpse, a little tea, a little something, a little hit right quick. All right. You'll see Gemini in the Bible, especially when you're dealing with some of these parallels. And of course, it's not named directly in the Bible, right? Just for those people who Gemini not in the Bible, of course, I ain't talking about directly. I'm talking about the aspect of when you understand symbols, symbolism. We talked about symbolism with Mercury here, okay? So both literal and symbolic forms throughout the scripture. Jacob and Esau, right? Those twin brothers represent the duality, spirit and flesh, inheritance versus instant gratification. Jacob and Esau, meaning the supplanter and the mental trickster, very mercurial in nature. Esau, the primal impulsive brother, is earthly and physical, right? And the story represents the inner division between the battle and the higher reasoning, Jacob, and the instinct of Esau. Now, the older, right, shall serve the younger. That's Genesis 25:23. Now, that interpretation deals with the base nature of Esau, must serve the higher mind, Jacob. Jacob's ladder, when spiritual mastery is sought after, or spiritual wisdom, the divine mind, so called, takes over. Moses and Aaron, Gemini, communication, Moses, divine law, Aaron, the voice. Moses often lacked the ability to speak clarity. Exodus 4 and 10. As Aaron became the mouth of Moses. You see what I'm saying? See, this represents duality of inner truth and external expression, core to Gemini's spiritual work. See, that's what Gemini wants to bridge. See, these are parallels, parables, and all this type of shit. You feel me? So it wants to bridge this paradoxical experience. So the two witnesses, Revelations 11, you see the one and the one, 11, the messenger, Jack energy, my Jack of diamonds, right? So represent spiritual polarity, the law of prophets, the body and the spirit, testifying truth. They are eventually resurrected, symbolize the integration and ascension of the twin flame motif. You understand? See, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper, but I'm gonna give a little bit. When you talking about the twin flame journey, right, and how that aspect of the mythology behind it is saying that a soul was so unified and so filled with love and light, per se, just to use those words because it gives you a contextual feeling. So filled with wholeness, oneness, to where it had to split itself in two to come back to this reality. That's the motif behind the outer limits of you attracting a twin flame. This aspect is saying you are the twin flame, Gemini. Your twin flame is you. Hence, another person comes and sparks it, right? So that's why that polarity between the prophets and the integration and ascension is the twin flame motif, right? So Gemini, the lungs, the breath, the spirit, the words. Gemini rules the lungs and the respiratory system. Metaphysically, meaning the breath in the Bible, Hebrew, Roch, the Greek, Pneuma, right? Meaning both, meaning breath and spirit. And the Lord God formed man in the dust of the ground and breathed it into his nostrils, the breath of life. Genesis 2 and 7. Breath is a divine interface between body and spirit. The Gemini gate. Gemini and the power of the spoken word. In the beginning was the word, and with the word was God, and the word was with God, and the word was God. John 1 and 1. Words, vibration, creation. Gemini governs the power to speak reality to form. Gemini rules both what we say and what we and how we inhale and exhale spirit through our voice as a singer, right? About how they have to control the power of breath and how something angelic can come out type shit. So words that spells spiritual governance through language, government, govern the mind, Mercury, ruler of Gemini, governs speech, contracts, and commerce. The English languages is the dominant global tongue, and it is spellbound. Spelling, spell casting, curse, cursive writing, right? Y'all think curse words was the curse. Cursive writing, the curse. So grammar war, right? Book of spells, sentences, judicial sentences. Learning from a book, you got to write in sentences. You get booked in jail. Think about it. Book in your mind, terms, speaking legal contracts. Ask anybody who knows paralegal. Ask anybody who understands the whole essence of maritime law, knowing that ignorance is no excuse of the law. And that's why you can deal with certain legal contracts and certain legal words and jargon. You might not even know what the hell they talking about. Same thing could be happening with your Bible. I'm just telling you. These are mercurial systems of control, encoding belief into structure. How indoctrination works, ideas are inserted in the mind, right? 0 to 13. We talked about that. Repetition, advertising, politics, religion turns phases into neural grooves. Neural linguistics, neural pathways, the mind, synapses. These become internalized scripts or spells that govern perception. Now, how you can identify with these is ask yourself, where did that belief come from? Y'all know I always give solutions now. Who belief is this that I believe? Who benefits if I believe this? Does this align with the divine truth or fear? Spell, money is the root of all evil. Truth, the love of money, not money itself, is the root of all evil. Timothy 6 and 10. Reframe, money is a tool for divine service and expression. God damn it. Redefine your relationship with the mundane. Observe your inner dialogue. Mercury governs internal narration. Track should, can't, never, and always statements. Replace with empowered language. Practice respelling. Use affirmation, mantras, right? Intentional journey. Speak life, not loops. Speak life, not loops. Respell your world. I am the breath of God made manifest. And people, like, just people cringe when I say something like that. But you are the breath of God made manifest. My words bring life, not limitation. I dismantle inherited fear with the confusion, with the conscious truth. I mean, my bad. All right. So of course, I have a ritual for you out here. I'm gonna kind of get into that. But now we're just dealing with the integration of this energy. So this new moon is gonna be rest. Gemini mental software. This is a cosmic mind reboot. Portal to be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans 12 and 2. Detox from inherited speech programmed ideas, verbal curses. Right? So the transits could include Sun, Moon, Square, true versus programming, harsh lessons for speaking falsely or avoiding accountability. That's what's gonna happen. People can't avoid accountability right now. There's gonna be some harsh lessons for that shit. Remember, I told y'all that. On any level. I don't care if this is dealing with from politics all the way down to your personal life. Mercury, sextile Neptune, is going to be kind of intuitive language, challenging divine speech, poetry, prayer. It's a good time to write some songs or do some writing if anybody been into that. Gemini, Sagittarius, polarity activation, learn, unlearn, relearn. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Okay. Integration of that application of Gemini's power, bringing the mental, right, breath, the mental and the breath and the thought and the soul into alignment, not just speak, but speak truth with clarity and love. Daily practices from breaking spells, right? So you can do some breath work. You can do some breathing consciously as your breath is your spirit. Silent prayer with tongues and activate divine language, all that good stuff. Signs of the times and things that call to evolve. I had to put this picture right here. I want y'all to look at the symbology of this picture. A lot of our women are sky goddesses. Newt on the left side. They done married this archetype of Jesus, this dude right here. And they think that's the integration. But I'm gonna tell you, that's just surface. I'm not knocking your love for Jesus, Yahweh, or whatever. All I'm saying is it's a part of you. As a matter of fact, as divine feminine principle, you birthed it. From the darkness comes the light, right? So he who has the ears to hear, let him hear. The Gemini portal is calling humanity to speak with intention, think with discernment, detach from identity-based belief systems, use language to build bridges, not fortresses, not walls and shit. Inhale the breath of God, exhale truth. Mass changes in education is gonna happen. Social media, more AI-driven communication. A lot of people gonna be talking to AI like it's their fucking dear diary. And a lot of people gonna be having conversation with you. And if you ain't able to discern that you listening to AI, I'm gonna tell y'all, I love AI. But when AI is thinking for you versus you are telling it what to do, you got a problem there. Okay. And I ain't saying that it's not possible, but don't use it as a crutch. Don't let AI become another crutch because you don't know how to communicate it, disseminate your own thoughts. Use it as a tool to help you cultivate that. All right. So this is gonna be a lot of the AI driven communication, new forms of translation, literal and spiritual, because people gonna be using AI to translate their thoughts and shit. Which I ain't saying there's something wrong with that, but it's say artificial intelligence, but it's still intelligence. So you're just using something to convey some shit and put it into words because you trying to still sound some type of way instead of just being you and authentic in your expression. You care too much about what somebody else gonna feel about what the fuck you got to say. It's the only reason you're using AI as a filter. Don't use it as a filter. Clarity, confirmation, all that good shit is cool, but a filter, you dealing with a whole nother beast right there. You're gonna get lost. You're gonna get lost so much to where you ain't gonna be able to do shit if you don't pull out AI to have a conversation before you talk to somebody. All right. So all the potential exposure of media driven manipulation, a lot of people just using social media to manipulate people. They don't really give a damn about y'all, not on a humanitarian level, because they wouldn't do it for free. If I could, I'd give y'all all this information for free, man. You know, I got bills to pay, phone bills, all that kind of shit. You know, that's why I do free shit, but I got a paid workshop as well. This is my work. This once again, this is not what I do. This is who I am. So this is going to be a lot of. This moon is not just a reset. It is a spiritual jailbreak from the prisons of old language, false labels, and inherited narratives. This is the moon that teaches us to breathe like God, right? And also speak like the truth, speak like truth, and think like creators. Let my words of my mouth and my meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Psalms 19:14. That's a whole spell. Anybody went to the book of Psalms. All right. Now, of course, there's a spell unbinding ritual that you can take with you. All right. For those of you who are going to participate in that part. And with that being said, of course, I said I would answer any questions once I was done with the PDF. So anybody got any questions? Oh, before I did though, there's a couple people. Let me see something right here because I know I had somebody in here that I told her that I was gonna ask her to speak. It's one of my somebody I love to life, somebody I met throughout this journey. And she's very well versed in astrology and all that good stuff, you know. So I want to see if she wants to speak and I also let y'all know kind of what she does. Gigi, you here? Or did you leave? Oh, you here, Gigi? Okay. Gigi might not be here. All right. Diamond, are you here, beloved? Did you want to speak? Are you here, Diamond? I don't see you, Raylan. I'm looking through the people. Okay. I wanted to see if either one of those want to speak. But now, anybody got any questions? The floor is open. I answer any questions at this point. Anybody got any question about what I went
Yo,
over? Go ahead. Who is that?
Prince again.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Yeah, peace, God. Um, so my question is, when it comes to the astrological energies, What's the main distinction between tropical and sidereal from your perspective?
So basically, tropical and sidereal.
Yeah, man.
Okay. I get asked that question a lot. I just told the beloved, if you are asking me to come put up windows in your house, does it matter how I measure the windows, or does it matter I just put up or do a good job with putting the windows in your house?
I
All
mean, you
right.
gotta measure twice, cut once.
All right. You see what I'm saying? It don't matter how I measure, as long as I measure twice and cut once. As long as I get your windows in there and do the job sufficiently. It's kind of how I look at those two systems. They're just two different measurement systems. That's it. All right. One is giving you more of a moon perspective, nakshatras and whole house, kind of dealing with the breaking up of the degrees of the houses, but it's still measuring something. Now, when you deal with tropical, this is more of a western side. One is going to deal with you more of your mundane and also the things you would deal with in this western side of life, and then the other can deal with the spiritual components of your life and how that can play out. Now, to me, both are relative, and also to me, both can apply when I do my readings. I don't speak devoid of the other. Even though I use Placidus, I use Tropical, I use Whole Sign, but when I speak to somebody's chart, I speak with the knowledge of knowing that Sidereal is just taking your chart back one sign, especially if you are in an earlier duad or earlier degree. So all to me it's just two different ways to describe the same thing. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate that share because it provided more clarity on the concept for me because I was thinking that, so you broke it down real efficiently and yeah, because my b day is 7/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my sidereal sun is Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one sign before and just things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it,
So,
bro.
no, you're welcome. Because all that does is say now you can be a communicative, talkative cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, I
So,
ain't no little crab in the shell, man.
you
Kept
know
it
what I'm saying? See,
Gerald, man.
now you can see the difference on why you will be influenced the way you are and how both of those things could be true at the same damn time. Hence, a paradoxical experience, but you are the one experiencing it.
Facts. Gratitude.
Appreciate your question, brother. Anybody else got any questions?
I do, Sensei. I know I've
Talk
asked
to
this
me.
before, but I can't remember.
Hmm.
What do we call it? I guess what app or do you use for to look up all where like your planets and degrees are? What was it called again?
Time passages.
Time passages. Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
You're welcome, beloved. Yeah, Time Passage is the app that I use. Because even with Time Passage, and when you go in there and you go into settings, it does allow you to change. However, you can change from Placidus to whole sign to whatever. So you can change those signs when you get off into that. So anybody else got any questions? I just put a link to Time Passages in the chat as well. And once again, I'm gonna put my cash app in the chat if anybody is feeling generous. I will always receive any donations. All right. So anybody else got any questions? I know I said a whole lot of stuff tonight. Okay. Now, remember, if you do want to tap into the workshop coming up on the 25th, we going in. Of course, that'll be in 4 days, all right, which will actually be on this Sunday coming up. And the actual new moon will be on the 26th. So if you are interested, make sure you get your spot. Make sure you get on in. Of course, if you do need some type of help with that or a little time or whatever, make sure that you text me or inbox me, and that way I can make that happen. So this replay will be available on my YouTube, and for those who will listen in the future, I appreciate you all. And if you are interested in booking any type of service, make sure you reach out to me. Check me on all my social media platforms, which is Sensei_9 or just Sensei period or Sensei 9. All right. So gratitude to you all. If anybody don't have any more questions, I'll let y'all go. All right. Y'all good? All right, beautiful souls. I appreciate you all once again. All right. Gratitude to you all. Some vibrations. Who was that? Or was just somebody saying peace? I bit. All right, gratitude to you all. Peace and love to you all, beautiful souls. Thank you for your time, your energy. Peace. Namaste.